Hi.
How you feeling?
Yeah.
Well, I know you were kind of just wanting to stay in bed all day. How do you feel about a visitor?
Who's here?
Nathan.
Can't you tell him I'm sick?
You guys have a review today. He said it was imperative you get it done today. In fact, he insisted. It was kind of weird.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go find him. Hold on. Nathan! Hey, get out!
Nathan, I'm older than you.
Hey, get out!
Were you in my closet?
I might have been.
How long were... Maybe I don't want to know.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I brought a movie for us to enjoy together.
Yeah, I don't actually have a DVD player in here.
That's okay. The back of the box is very descriptive.
Okay.
Back in my day, we didn't watch the movie. We read the movie.
So sad. Anyway, what kind of movie is it? The Judas Project. Sounds like a thriller?
Are you kidding? Fencing, fighting, torture, chases, escapes, true love, miracles. Okay, I lied about the fencing.
Aw. Well, that sounds promising anyway. I'll try to stay awake.
Oh, thank you very much. Your confidence is overwhelming. Thank you. All right, my reading glasses. The Judas Project. Written and directed and executive produced and composed by James H. Borden. We open at night on the beach with some helicopters.
Helicopters are good.
A group of men in tuxedos surround another man wearing a scarf. They're pulling guns on him. And then another man enters, looks at the man in the scarf longingly and screams, "Why?"
Why?
No, very good, you're getting it.
No. I mean, why is he yelling why? What's going on?
We're opening in media res. We'll find out when we cut from a night on the beach with helicopters flying around 2 years earlier to a night on the beach with helicopters flying around. This time they're part of a rescue effort because a young fisherman was swept out to sea. There is also a boat launching flares even though it's mere feet from the shore. They pull up the body and the young man's mother blames God for her son's death. Then the man in the scarf shows up, touches the body, and then walks away before the fisherman wakes up alive. And a news reporter instantly knows that the man in the scarf's name is Jesse.
How does she know that?
It doesn't matter. The man who yelled "why" is also there, and he shows up the next morning to watch Jesse speak to some people on the beach. He also heals a man who was apparently blind.
Hold it. What is this? Are you trying to trick me? Where are the thrills? Is this a Jesus movie?
No, it's about a man named Jesse.
But the box has a man with flog marks on his back and a crown of thorns, and the tagline reads, "For everyone who ever wished for a miracle, the time for salvation is now."
Look, who's telling the story here? Okay, so Jude and Jesse meet up at a diner for further details. Jude?
Judas Iscariot?
No, his name is Jude. Are you not listening?
Okay.
Jude says he comes from New York City, where everyone is rude to each other and they only value power.
You suppose Jesus is a good tipper?
That is not important. Jude says that Jesse must be the Messiah the world has waited for, so he expects God in the flesh to want power too, and he encourages Jesse to try to take over the world.
So, this is Jesus.
No, it's Jesse.
Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure that this guy only got this part because he looks an awful lot like Robert Powell, i.e. TV's favorite Jesus.
And then there was a third man there with them the whole time, a big burly bearded man named Pete.
Simon Peter? Are you sure we shouldn't be dusting off the old Jesus movie checklist?
Jesse says that true love wouldn't force anyone, but it is also the greatest force. Jude disagrees with their movement, but he joins it anyway.
When did that happen?
In the scene between scenes.
That's not good writing.
Anyway, then we cut over to Arthur Cunningham's house where he's looking at a slideshow of people he's trying to control.
Wait, who's Arthur Cunningham?
He's the president or the governor or a crime boss or something. He's part of the World Council, that's what's important.
Okay.
Then Panaris interrupts, saying he's upset that he wasn't invited to the meeting. Panaris is the head of the church.
Meeting? What meeting? This is a slide projector and a bench spreadsheet.
Now who's being silly? That's a wall.
My point is, I don't think two guys looking at a slideshow counts as a meeting.
Anyway, Panaris says the miracles that Jesse performs are contrary to the teachings of his church.
Wait a minute.
What?
So, which church are we talking about here? Panaris is supposed to be the head of the church, but there's also pictures of John the Baptist and Jesus on the wall. So, the historical Jesus did exist in this universe? That's really confusing. I feel like this is a Protestant movie trying to take a shot at Roman Catholicism, because historically the Roman Catholic Church was that big and powerful. But Panaris is wearing a suit and a tie. You can't give him vestments or a clerical collar or something? And if he is Protestant, this movie does know that Protestantism has never had one church, right? Is Panaris Lutheran, Methodist, Presbyterian, Episcopal, Baptist, Pentecostal, Congregational?
So Cunningham says that he views Panaris only as an irritation and dismisses him. Then we cut back over to Jude, who is telling Andy that he...
As in St. Andrew?
No, it's Andy. He was telling Andy that he wishes Jesse would exercise his power. Jude really likes power.
And they keep him around anyway.
The next morning, Jesse takes 3 out of his 5 disciples up on a mountain.
If there's only 5 disciples, why can't they all go?
Have you not been listening? Jude is a psychopath.
Yeah, what did Andy do? This is like the first season of Gilligan's Island where the professor and Marianne were simply the rest.
So they go up to the mountain, and once they're there, a big cloud appears. And Jesse starts glowing, and then he's wearing these white robes. And then 2 balls of light come out of the cloud, sprout legs, stand next to Jesse, and then they go back up into the cloud. And a big booming voice in the sky says, "This is my beloved son. Listen to him."
So those 2 big balls of light were supposed to be Moses and Elijah, right? They don't really look anything like Moses and Elijah, just 2 balls of light with legs. And I'm starting to see why most Bible movies don't really try to do the transfiguration. But leaving that aside, this movie does know that anybody who's not familiar with the Bible is going to have absolutely no idea whatsoever what's going on right now, right?
And then John faints, and it's hilarious.
If you say so.
And Jesse then asks them, "Who do you say that I am?" And Pete says, "You are the Christ, the Son of God."
Well, of course he's going to say that. The big booming voice in the sky just said that. The "who do you say that I am" scene can be really, really good. I've seen Jesus movies where it's the best scene, one of the best scenes in the movie. But a lot of the gravitas is kind of lost when the transformation was literally 2 seconds ago.
Then a tree appears behind them. Then we cut over to Jesse talking to a small crowd of people on the beach. Pete leans over and says that they are hungry.
Why don't they all just go to McDonald's?
Jesse says that Pete should go get some cheese and bread from Jude's van. John says that this is a bad idea because Pete is fat.
Ha ha ha. Hilarious.
And then the movie focuses on a photographer taking pictures of them from a distance. All the time, a 90s pop song plays describing Jude's feelings on joining the band.
So is that a miracle?
Couldn't tell. The movie was too focused on the photographer.
Wouldn't it have made more sense to show the miracle and then pan back slowly as it turns out that they were being watched the whole time?
Then a scary Russian lady approaches Jesse on the street to invite him to a meeting of the World Council on behalf of her employer, Mr. Arthur Cunningham.
Why does the maybe president have a scary Russian lady working for him? Isn't this the end of the Cold War?
Jesse accepts, saying, "As you wish." What the scary Russian lady didn't realize was that when Jesse said, "As you wish," what he was really saying was, "I love you." Then he sees some presumed prostitutes streetwalking. He watches several of them go by without saying anything, then picks one at random, pulls her aside and whispers, "This is no life for you. Find the Christ within your heart."
Thanks? Seriously, she has no idea who he is. So this advice doesn't really help her all that much. What does find the Christ within your heart mean in a world where apparently Jesus never came? Anyway, he makes it sound like she can just hop on down to the job store and pick out a nice new career for herself with a complete 401k package.
Then Jesse goes down an alley and spends the night with a homeless drunk.
Okay, that's kind of sweet.
The next morning, he shows up at Arthur Cunningham's house where all the world leaders are meeting. So he's probably the president.
Okay, this is the White House in Texas?
Well, no, it's just Arthur Cunningham's house, which happens to be white. And Cunningham says that the world is falling apart. After all, the Soviet Union is collapsing, there's wars everywhere, yada yada yada. But if they could all consolidate under one man, one charismatic leader, they could fix it all. And they want Jesse to be that one man. Jesse refuses, saying he is the light that has come into the world and they thrive in darkness. Jesse and 4 out of 5 disciples leave, at which point Panaris says it might be expedient that one man should die, that we might save a nation.
What? So, Panaris is Caiaphas? I just assumed that's who Cunningham was.
No, he's Pilate.
Yes, I definitely remember the part in the Bible where Pilate and Caiaphas were plotting to give Jesus the world and were mad that he turned it down. Pilate doesn't even enter the narrative until Good Friday. That isn't the point that I was going to make, but...
Truly, you have a dizzying intellect.
Wait till I get going! Where was I?
Good Friday.
Right, Good Friday. The reason Caiaphas was afraid of Jesus, the reason why he said it is better for one man to die than for an entire nation to perish, is because Israel was an occupied country. Rome ruled them. Any upsetting of the status quo, in theory, could be the end of the country. Thus, Jesus could be conceived as a threat. Here, this doesn't make any sense. They offered him the world and he turned it down, and that's going to put some country in danger of being destroyed? Which one? America? You can't just take a classic story and plop it into modern day and expect all the pieces to fall into place. You have to take into consideration that times are different and that the way day-to-day people think and act is completely different. The political structure is different. Everything is different.
Surely you can just put the word swords on your guns and then put Romeo and Juliet in the modern day, right?
I wouldn't know. I never saw that one. The point is, the United States in the 1990s is so far removed from first century Israel that this allegory makes no sense. You want to make this work, if you want to make this idea of Jesus appearing in modern day work, why not put him in an actual modern day occupied country? Like, say, Vietnam, during the Vietnam War. A Vietnamese Jesus having to deal with the Americans and the communists and the French would have so much more in common with a first century Jew than some average Joe down in Texas. Also, Texas? Really?
What's wrong with Texas?
Nothing, I guess. But with all the beaches and bright lights, there's nothing really here that identifies this as Texas. I thought this was Florida at first, to be honest. That's how bland this backdrop is.
Yes, you're very smart. Shut up. So then, the photographer and the slideshow guy from earlier are now assassins. And they are coming to shoot Jesse. Now, Jesse doesn't get shot at this point.
But
I was just saying because you look concerned.
I'm not even slightly concerned.
We can stop now if you'd like.
Yes, please!
But then the slideshow guy has second thoughts and refuses, telling them that he should let Panaris take care of it himself. So then the scary Russian lady approaches Jude at a carnival to tell him they had a setback and need further help.
Okay, question. If they can tag Jesse to the point where they can send gunmen after them, why do they need Judas to betray him?
He's not Judas, he's Jude.
I'm telling you, you're messing up the story now. Get it right!
I just appreciate how they're taking the time to show how important carnivals are to Texans. They'll gather around and say, why is tonight different from all other nights? Because on all other nights we eat many vegetables, but tonight we only eat cotton candy.
That's really gross.
It's to commemorate when they spread funnel cake on their doorposts as they left Mexico.
Whatever.
So, then we cut over to Jesse with his 4 remaining disciples at around a campfire on the beach. Jesse says that Pete will deny him 3 times, then the helicopters show up, then the men in tuxedos with the guns show up, and then Jude emerges, looks longingly at Jesse, screams, "Why?" and then kisses him.
Is this a kissing movie?
Wait, just wait.
When does it get good? This has been going on for a while.
Keep your shirt on, I'm getting there.
Excuse you?
So then, Jude goes back to his apartment where the slideshow guy is waiting for him. The slideshow guy wants to know why he would sell out Jesse. We find out at this point that the slideshow guy's name is Jackson.
Oh, okay.
Jude says that he just wanted Jesse to exercise his power. And as you know, power is like madness. All it takes is a little push. Jackson doesn't accept this as an explanation and says they're both going to hell. So then he walks out, and this is enough to make Jude throw his briefcase full of silver bars over Cunningham's fence and then go driving. And he keeps driving, and he's driving, he's weaving in and out of traffic. He keeps driving, and all the time there's a 90s sad pop song that is saying how a man was crucified yesterday, even though that hasn't happened yet.
Who kills Jude?
I don't understand.
Who kills Judas Iscariot? At the end. Someone's got to do it. Does he do it himself? Who?
Nobody kills him. He lives.
You mean he wins?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
So then we cut over to an abandoned yacht club where Cunningham is having some men punch Jesse in the face.
So the World Council performs its interrogations and executions at yacht clubs now?
Sonnenbrook Yacht Club. One moment, please. I will ask him. Oh, Commodore! The World Council would like to use one of our old facilities to perform some crucifixions. Okay, thank you. He says that'll be fine. We just have a bar mitzvah at 10 and some sailing lessons at 11, so please have the corpses gone by then. Okay, thank you. Long live the World Council!
Panaris pulls up Pete and asks him if he knows Jesse. Pete says no. Then they decide they're going to crucify Jesse and the two failed assassins.
Why are they choosing the slowest method of execution known to man? Especially since in this version they have to string them up to get them up there under the docks at the yacht club anyway, so...
Why not just bang them?
Then Jackson asks Jesse to take him with him as they're both hanging there on these makeshift crosses.
Okay, they do know that part of what makes this whole exchange work between Jesus and the good thief in the Gospels is one thief is taunting Jesus, saying, "Save yourself and us," and the other one chimes in and says, "Don't you fear God even when you're dying? We are guilty, we deserve this torture, and Jesus has done nothing wrong." It's that admission of guilt that makes the part where he asks Jesus to please take him with him all that much more meaningful. Here it's, take me with you. That just doesn't really carry the same weight if you don't include the admission of your own guilt first.
Panaris notices a storm coming in and says to make sure Jesse dies, implying that they should do it quickly.
So why didn't they just use their guns? They have guns.
Well, I suppose they weren't willing to shoot him earlier.
Yes, they were. So why not use guns?
When Jesse dies, his cartoon spirit leaves his body and then goes downwards to hell. So then one of the men goes to stab Jesse with a harpoon, and lightning strikes it. And lightning also strikes the ropes holding the captive disciples, freeing them. And Panaris goes running through the woods as lightning repeatedly misses him.
God aims like a stormtrooper?
Panaris comes up to a mausoleum, demanding to be let in, even though there's clearly nobody there. He does manage to get inside, at which point God says to him, "You never knew me." Then some ghosts rise up out of their graves and float up to heaven. Then a big fireball comes down and consumes Panaris.
Yes, I remember the part in the Bible where God literally consumed Caiaphas in a ball of fire.
Then Jude shows up, and he goes to touch Jesse's toe, but then decides not to. And then he has a flashback to that time that he walked up to Jesse on the beach, screamed wide, and as they reach for each other...
Oh boy.
What?
It's kissing again. Do we have to do the kissing part?
One day you might not mind so much. Since the invention of the kiss, there have been 5 rated the most passionate, the most pure. This one blew them all out of the water. Then Jude grabs a rope and walks off screen. The end of his story. Then we cut over to Pete at Jesse's big state funeral.
Yes, I remember the part in the Bible where Jesus got a big state funeral. Wasn't the idea that his execution was public and his burial was private, not the other way around?
Pete goes to touch the casket, only to be hit by a state trooper with a sweaty armpit. The other disciples come and collect Pete, and they go into a car. And there they all experience lots and lots of flashbacks. Like that time they went fly fishing with Jesse. Or that time that Andy asked Jesse how to pray. Or a bunch of scenes that we've seen before. And all the time a sad 90s pop song is playing that goes, Jesse, I love you. Jesse, I miss you.
Okay, seriously, you have got to stop calling him Jesse.
What would you prefer I call him?
Jesus! Nathan, what did you read me this thing for?
Look, you've been very sick and you're taking this story very seriously. Maybe we should stop.
Yes, please.
So then Pete goes to a beach by himself and there he experiences more flashbacks. We see Jesse telling Pete that he'll deny him 3 times. Then we see Pete at Jesse's state funeral from like a few minutes ago. Then we see Jesse glowing and hugging Pete. And then the movie's over.
Wait, was that last bit the resurrection? I can't believe I'm saying this, but the greatest story ever told did a better resurrection scene than this movie. And I don't give compliments to that movie lightly.
So, what did you think?
What a waste of an interesting premise. At first I thought the idea was,
What if Jesus showed up in modern day and his own church didn't recognize him? Which is kind of interesting, and it would explain the historical pictures of, Jesus and John the Baptist from historical paintings from all over the years on the wall. But no, the idea is that Jesus never came at all. So whose pictures are those? Is the implication that the historical Jesus was fake? That seems bizarrely blasphemous for a Jesus movie. But even leaving those in-universe problems aside,
I don't think this movie really understands how the alternate history genre works. People do what if insert historical event here didn't happen all the time. But you have to work at what the world is like because of this historical event didn't happen. You have to make the current reality drastically different than the real world reality. And there's nothing really different about the world that this modern Jesus is entering than the world of 1999.
I mean, couldn't you at least do a parallel Earth where, like, the Roman Empire never fell or something? Because here, the only thing that's really different is apparently the president lives in Texas, I think. That's assuming if that was even the president at all. Also, why is the Caiaphas stand-in the one whose name starts with P, while the Pilate stand-in has the name that starts with C? And come to think of it, why is Jesus' name in this universe Jesse? The correct translation, if you will, from Jesus to American grammar would be Joshua. And also, why was this thing even called the Judas Project? What was the Judas Project? Was it the name of the document in the little file about the plot to assassinate this guy Jesse when they didn't even use a guy named Judas?
So you didn't like it?
No! On top of all these story problems, the acting is absolutely awful, the music is atrocious, the special effects are absolutely embarrassing, especially when you consider that the special effects supervisor was Richard Edlund, i.e. the same guy who did the special effects for Die Hard, Ghostbusters, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the original Star Wars movies. It's really embarrassing.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you didn't like it. You made me watch The Secret of the Hunchback. Now we're even.
Nathan, can we review something good next time?
As you wish.
I am going to get him for that one. Later. Right now, I need a good allegory in my life.
Hey, Steph, I couldn't find Nathan. Did you
He
call?
came out of the closet.
He came out of the. What do you mean? He
But he came out of the closet. We did the review, and he left already.
left where?
Well, we did the review's over.
Yeah, but where'd he leave to? I've been out there the whole
Through
time.
there, through the same door he came in.
That door? Are you sure you're feeling okay?
Jesse, I love you. Jesse, We open on the beach as helicopters are trying to rescue a drowned man.
No, that's not it.
I know that is not the line. I realized that as I started saying it.
Okay.
Launches flares even though it's mere feet from the shore. What did I get wrong this time?
The same thing you got wrong last time. Remember, it starts with Judas yelling "Why" earlier.
I did not realize that is what I got wrong the first time. State trooper with a sweaty armpit. The other disciple. I just realized I walked over into the corner. I brought a movie for us.
We called it. Hi.
So I break things. I come in, things break. This is what happens.
No, I just gotta put my lampshade back on. I will ask him. Hold, please. Oh, Commodore. You're gonna be able to get it.
At which point Cunningham says,
Panera says.
Jesse and 4 of his Jesse and 4 out of 5 disciples leave. At which point Cunningham says,
Panera's.
why am I doing it?
Yes, I will ask him. Dead puppies. Game of Thrones.
The great continuity.
Great continuity.
Oh, Commodore. So silly.
I don't remember what happens after that. Are you kidding? It's fencing, fighting, torture, escapes, chases. Okay, I lied.